What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're out on the road. It is the first major league fishing event of the season. I'm headed out to Lake Havasu and I'm super pumped to be on my way. I'm gonna be out here for another week looking at how to catch these largemouth and smallmouth bass that I always seem to have a hard time catching out here at Lake Havasu. But we're gonna put our head down and hopefully this time it's gonna be different. For those of you guys that have been following the channel for a while now, you know these tournament videos have some very special sponsors that I'm very thankful to have. First one is GCI Outdoor. Then we got 6 Sense Fishing, we got Waterland Fishing Optics, and Do It Molds. All those sponsors make it possible for me to go out on the road, travel to fish these MLF events. So GC Outdoor is a outdoor chair and table company. Think camping chairs, think days on the beach, days out on the lake, chairs like that. They make awesome stuff. Discount code for them is MLF15. Really makes a difference when you guys use those codes. You guys know everything about 6 Sense. They make some awesome crankbaits, rods, soft plastics, hooks. They got all kinds of stuff. Use discount code Luna10 for that. And then we got Waterland Fishing Optics. Guys, I've been talking to you guys about Waterland a lot over the last couple years. Waterland is my fishing sunglasses sponsor. They are my sunglasses sponsor, and they make awesome polarized fishing sunglasses that are going to help you see more fish. They're going to help you catch more fish out there on the water. Might have some bedfish out on this tournament, and I'm going to be relying on those sunglasses to cut through that glare and help me catch some fish. And then of course we have Do It Molds as well. You guys see a lot of my tackle making videos over on the channel. I'm making a lot of my own baits, making my own jigs, making my own spinner baits, all kinds of different baits that I'm making myself. And you guys are seeing me catch fish with them out here on the channel. Just made some 3-color laminates, which is 3 colors in 1 worm, which is more complex than it sounds, but caught some fish on those baits as well. Those were kind of a test run deal for me, and I was able to make them up, and the next day literally went out there and caught a fish on them. So what we're going to talk about in today's video is we're going to talk about drop shot fishing. If you've been following a lot of my videos lately, I've been fishing the drop shot an awful lot. It's been kind of the go-to recently out here in the wintertime at multiple lakes here at home. So in today's video, we're going to dive in deep into the drop shot technique. I already gave you guys a video on my drop shot setup, so this is going to be more about what mistakes you guys can make fishing the drop shot, what you need to be doing to help catch more fish on the drop shot. So we're gonna be filming this video on my way out to Lake Havasu. We're gonna make a couple more stops along the way, but we're gonna be talking about the drop shot. We're gonna be talking about mistakes in your retrieve, mistakes on rigging it, mistakes when you're working that bait. We're just gonna talk about different mistakes that I think are gonna help you end up catching more fish once you start doing it right. Guys, the first thing we're gonna talk about is what size weight do you need on your drop shot. I think a lot of people are making the mistake and having too heavy or too light of a weight depending on the depth that they are fishing. Now, when you're fishing deeper water, you need to have a heavier weight. When you're fishing shallower water, you need to have a lighter weight. But the things that you need to make sure of is that you're maintaining bottom contact at all times. So you're fishing shallow and you're fishing an 1/8 ounce weight and you can feel the bottom, great. If you're fishing 40 foot of water and you're using a 3/8 ounce weight and you're feeling bottom, then perfect. But then sometimes you're gonna have wind and other issues that come up, current, different things that are gonna prevent you from being able to use those size weights in certain situations. So when you're in one of those situations where wind or current or something else is a factor, maybe you're fishing behind somebody that's fishing really fast and you're trying to fish a drop shot and they're fishing a crankbait or something, you might need to upsize your weight because you want to maintain bottom contact all the time. And if you're fishing in the wind and you can't feel anything, even though you're fishing shallow and you got that 1/8 ounce weight, you might need to go up to a 3/4, or not a 3, you might need to go up to a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce weight to maintain that bottom contact. You want to make sure that you're feeling the bottom because you need to know if you're fishing around rock, maybe you're going through sand, maybe you're in some grass, maybe you're fishing around brush, but that's where the fish live. That's the stuff that you're targeting with the drop shot, and that's what you need to be feeling down the bottom because you're going to feel those rocks and then you're going to feel the difference in a bite that you may not have noticed or gotten if that thing wasn't on the bottom itself. Well, we're at another gas stop right now, and in this part of the video, the mistake that we're gonna be talking about is working the bait too quickly. A lot of times I see people fishing a drop shot and they want to fish that thing fast. They want to fish it like a reaction bait, and that's not how you fish a drop shot. Sometimes you're going to actually do nothing with it. You're just going to let it sit there. But basically what you want to focus on is nice slow drags. You want to basically count rocks with that sinker on the bottom. Like I was mentioning in the last segment, where you want to make sure that you're maintaining bottom contact, you want that sinker to come up and over the rocks, come up and over the brush, come through that grass. You want to be able to count each individual rock down on the bottom, moving it nice and slow. Sometimes you can give it some action or something like that, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But a lot of times people are just dragging it too fast. They're not feeling what's down there. They have no idea what type of cover they're fishing. You should be able to tell the exact type of cover that you're fishing by the feel of the bottom. You can tell the difference between grass and rock and brush. If you're moving that bait slowly, you're going to be able to feel all those differences, and that's going to help you catch more fish. You're going to be able to feel the difference of the bottom, feel the difference between the bottom and the bait, and you're going to be moving it slowly, and that's going to get those fish to trigger it. They're going to look at that worm, they're going to look at that bait down there, and they're going to end up biting that bait. So the next thing that we're going to talk about, the next major mistake I see people make with the drop shot, is they give it too much action. Guys, when you're fishing a drop shot, it's subtle, it's finesse. It's not a whole lot of movement, it's not a whole lot of action. I mean, you can give it a few little rod shakes, but a lot of times that straight pull is what's going to get you the most bites. When you're giving it a lot of good shakes and stuff like that, a lot of times you're just making those fish disinterested. It's giving off more action than what the fish are actually doing in the lake at that time. Guys, so the next thing that we're going to talk about in today's video is the action that you're giving the bait. One of the major mistakes that I see people make when fishing a drop shot is they're giving that bait way too much action. They're giving it a lot of different shakes, and you want to keep it subtle. You want to keep it finesse. When you're fishing a drop shot, those fish really aren't super active. They're not wanting to eat probably. So giving less action sometimes equals more fish. Now, don't get me wrong, there's times where giving it some action is going to help. Giving that little bit, that worm, just giving a little bit of pulse down there on the bottom, maybe in the summertime especially, giving it a little pop a little bit. But most of the time, that slow drag is going to be the best one. It's going to get you the most bites. It's going to give off the most natural looking action. And it's going to create a lot more bites, and you're going to catch a lot more fish by keeping it simple and keeping it a little bit finesse. All right, guys, so it's time to get back in the truck. It's time to keep hitting the road. Next stop is going to be Lake Havasu. We're going to get to the hotel, and I'm going to give you our last tip and our last mistake when fishing the drop shot. Well, guys, we finally made it to the hotel. It's about a 5.5 hour drive to get out from my house to Lake Havasu. This hotel is crazy crowded as well. There's a tournament out here tomorrow, and then there's another tournament the day after that, and then all of us practicing out here. So this lake's getting pretty hammered, which is a bummer because I don't think this lake does very well with pressure overall. But we made it, and we'll be out on the water tomorrow. But right now, I want to get into this final mistake that I see a lot of people make with the drop shot. So one major thing that I think is very important to take into consideration, and I think it's a mistake, if you use too heavy of line on your drop shot. The drop shot is designed to be a finesse technique. Now, there's times where you can pitch it and kind of flip it around tules or isolated cover and wood and stuff like that. That is definitely something you can do, but traditionally, the drop shot is something that you're going to be doing vertically, casting it out onto little rock piles, casting it out onto points, stuff like that. It's a finesse technique to use when the fishing is tough. And when those conditions come around, you need to use finesse size line. I was using 5-pound test recently to get bit. 6-pound test is a very, very common one. 7-pound test, depending on what brand you use, if they make 7-pound test. And about 8-pound test is really the max when it comes to finesse fishing. I don't look at 10-pound test as a finesse line. I go basically from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 as my finesse sizes. But obviously, depending on cover and situations, you could go up. But if you're finesse fishing around tough conditions and you're trying to get bit on a drop shot, make sure to be using the appropriate line size. My first pick when I'm out practicing or whatever is 6-pound test, and then I'll adjust from there. If I feel like I can get away with a heavier size line, I will, but sometimes that 6-pound test still doesn't get you bit and you got to go down even further. And I have seen times where 5-pound test has to be the line size or else I'm not getting bit. Well, guys, I hope this video was helpful and I hope it gave you a lot of value and you can take these tips and apply them to your next trip and catch more fish. Big shout out to GCI Outdoor, 6 Sense Fishing, Waterland Fishing Optics, and Dual Molds for sponsoring this video and sponsoring this Lake Havasu event. I'm gonna go get into the hotel. I gotta drop my stuff off. I gotta get some sleep and I gotta get ready to go out on the water tomorrow. Day 1 of practice out here on Lake Havasu starts tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the morning. See ya.